So this is our homepage for our CTSI site. How many of you have been to this or have used the site? Okay, maybe about a third. So I just want to take you through some of the tools that are here. First off, if you look at the homepage, you'll see events, deadlines, and news. And listed in these columns, today, as a matter of fact, you can see the workshop that we're attending. There's a webinar coming up about NIH funding. In the next column under deadlines, you'll see we have a deadline for a K award bridge grant. And in the news column, we also have an item about core vouchers being available at Westwood. So if you look at this page periodically, you'll see some opportunities for funding that you can apply for. And the quick links, and I'm not going to take you through this in the interest of time, but there are things here that you can directly use when you're writing your grant. So grant writing tips, obviously that will take you to a page that lists some tips, and we'll go to that later through another portal. We have boilerplate text. There's the part of your grant where you need to kind of list resources and facilities. We have paragraphs of boilerplate that you can just take off the site and plug into your application. We also have a letter of support tool. If you're looking for support from the CTSI, you can use this form and type it into a template, fill it out, and it'll come back to you in a nice, neat letter on letterhead. And then how to ask for consultations and advice when you're working on your application. Along the top, there's some bigger categories that contain some of the things I just pointed out. And I'm going to take you to them now on the funding portal. So I don't know how many of you have been to this page, but here are some various tiles that take you through the resources that we have that are either funding or related to funding. So I just mentioned boilerplate text, and I'll open that up. And you'll see the various kinds of boilerplates that are listed on the site. So to take you to research cores, you may be writing an application and you'll need some boilerplate for a core that you may be using. We can take a look at animal cores at Westwood, and here you'll see some paragraphs that describe those cores. If that information is too generic, you can follow this link to the core's website and get more information that way. For cores that don't have websites, we have PDFs available. Sorry, I'm dancing around here. And you could also see it's always a concern when you use boilerplate. Well, how old is it? Is it dated? All these boilerplates have dates on them. You can see this was last updated June 1st, 2004. So that is it's probably current and good to use. So to go back to that portal page, we have sample grant applications and sample letters of support. And we are going to be adding to this in the near future. But for now, we have some samples of R-Series grants, and these came from the website of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases. And if you click on these PDFs, it will take you to that site. But these are, grants that were funded that the Institute makes available, and with the research plan, the summary statement, and the full application. So, one of the things when you're writing a grant is, what does a successful grant look like? These applications will help you answer that question. We also have some sample grants. These are homegrown U54 grants. You probably won't be tackling one of those very often or in the near future, but they're here to show you how they are set up. And again, we have the summary statements, and in the case of the CTSI, the introduction to the resubmission, which is also a question people often have. How do I set that up? What does it look like? You can look at that and get an idea. And then sample letters of support. We have had people ask, what does a letter of support look like? We have letters from successful funded grants there that you can look at. So two other things I will draw attention to. These funding search tools and grant writing tips. You'll find on this page PowerPoints from seminars such as the one that we're having today, the K-Grant workshops. Some of the tips that were offered at those workshops are here, those PowerPoints. general grant writing tips. This is the training program in translational science. Every year there's a grant writing workshop. The PDFs are here that you can review. They're elsewhere at the site, but they're here also for convenience. And then you can see there's other resources. NIH has resources. There's links that are there. And the Vice Chancellor for Research has an escalator series you may or may not have been aware of or participated in. And if you follow this link, it'll take you to their archive of resources about that. And then the last thing I'll just quickly show you is what are the funding opportunities that CTSI offers. If you take a look here, you can see what we have open currently. That's our Catalyst Award, the K Award Bridge Grant. If you click this open, there'll be a brief description, and it'll take you to the RFAs for more information. If you say to yourself, gee, what type of things do they tend to fund? Past awardees by funding mechanism, you can click that open and get an idea. If you're interested in what may be coming up in the future, that list will tell you. And of course, the grants that are closed that probably won't be coming up in the future are there, plus contact information. The other things on this portal, RRT, that's a grant preparation assistance. They tend to work on very large, complicated grant mechanisms like program project grants or center grants. And there's the reporting requirements if you get assistance from us. So the other place I want to take you, because our time is limited, is to our researcher resources page. And here you'll see, these are two directories to CTSI resources. And I say CTSI, but they're also the resources of the institutions that make up the CTSI. And so there are two different ways to access them. On the top level, we have the resources sorted by the stage of the study that you're in, whether you're designing it, setting it up, conducting it, or closing it out. Underneath that, if you sort of know what you're looking for, and you don't want to sort it by stage, you can look up our consulting services, our CTRC facilities, the research cores across all 4 campuses, and some research tools. So to give you an idea of what this looks like, I'll open Design a Study. And it uses the same kind of accordion and color-coded rubric that you saw on some of the other pages. We have tools, we have tasks and activities, and just eyeballing that, you can see various tasks, request and ethics consultation, HIPAA requirements, biostatistics, and so forth. We have the education and training that you may need before you complete some of those tasks. They're listed here. And then resources to help you also complete those tasks. So budgeting and billing, good clinical practice, and so on. To give you an idea of what's available in those accordions, we'll scroll down. Here's biostatistics, the popular service. Here you'll see a description. We have drop-in consultations at UCLA and Harbor. There's a brief bullet point list of the kind of services biostatistics offers. If you look at this and say, yeah, I'd like to request some assistance, you can click this. You will be asked to log in with your UCLA sign-on. And you'll be taken to a service request page where you just type in some of this information, what kind of help you're looking for, why you need it, answer some of these required questions that we have to collect for NIH for our grant, and then press OK to submit your request. After you do that, we'll go into our online service request system, and you'll hear from someone to arrange your consultation. I'm not going to go through that process now. I'll just go back to the site. So all these other portals work in a similar manner. But there are other ways to request services as well. And that's if you kind of have a better idea of what you want. So consulting services. This page lists all the consulting services that the CTSI offers. And, they're under sort of, the larger kind of descriptor. But to find out what that consists of, you can press View Services, and then you'll see, for example, under the CTRC, there's various types of requests that you can make. For example, IRB process. Maybe you want some help doing that. You can check that box, and similar to what you saw on the other page, submit that request. And you will again I've already signed in, so it's not prompting me again, but you'll be taken to that request form, fill it out, and you'll hear from someone from the CTSI who will offer you some assistance with that request. That's it, that's the brief tour. Any questions? All right, thank you for your time. Please use the site. And if you have questions later, I'm Denise Galeen. You can find me on the site. I'd be happy to answer any questions you have.
Thanks, Denise.
You're welcome. Thank you.